What's going on, everybody? This is Super Mike, and I'm coming to you this morning. I want you to be great in your life. We're going to talk about doing for self. There's a little bit of controversy with Dr. Boyce, Roland Martin, which is actually an old controversy in Black America because we are collective victims. Sorry for people who don't want to hear that victim card. We are collective victims here in America. We're kidnap victims, we're slaughter victims, enslavement victims, mental genocide victims, and this is what we're dealing with. Now, what we're going to do here is we want to talk about how to get out of the victim mentality. You don't get out of the victim mentality by trying to ignore your situation. You were kidnapped, Caucasianized, and enslaved, bred to make you an easier group of people to enslave. And if we look at it with this analogy, if you're going to look at it with an analogy, think about a mother, right? A mother who got pregnant. The baby is in there, drawing from the nutrients of the mother, growing from the nutrients of the mother. And guess what happens? That child, it feeds on what the mother feeds on. But after a while, that child starts to get older, it becomes bigger. And soon enough, it can't feed on what the mother feeds on to sustain itself. And that's kind of how we were here in Black America. You know, it took a long time to get here, generations to get here. And we still got a long way to go. But if you look at the situation in your own lifetime, then you won't be able to understand this pattern. We're dealing with a pattern here. But if you look at it, if you learn some history, which that's the reason why we got to learn some history. Sorry. Because you won't understand without history, because you're just looking inside of your own lifetime and you're going to continue to get tricked and deceived each and every generation. And this is why one group of people stays on top and the other group of people stays on the bottom, because you keep falling for certain tricks and deceptions. So now, what happens with that baby? Pretty soon, the mother can't sustain that baby anymore. The baby has to get out. The mother can help it a little bit, but it can't remain inside of her stomach. She has to part with that baby physically until it turns into something on its own and becomes an individual. It's no longer a part of her body. It is an individual. And that's how we were here in Black America, because you got to think about this here. You have the good old Declaration of Independence. That is a radical document. The Declaration of Independence is radical. It's not something that can be really understood by folks who are, go along to get along types, or people who won't make radical moves. Your Declaration of Independence is a radical document. Your Constitution is a governing document. You know, your Constitution starts off talking about we the people, defines it's talking about white people, it's talking about the white indentured servants and those folks. But the Declaration of Independence, you know, the people who, you know, you got to think about it. There's people who didn't want to, they had all kinds of excuses why they could not secede from Britain, the Great Britain, right? The imperial nation, Great Britain, as colonies. They were getting sustained by Great Britain, but they were a different entity, the 13 colonies. They already had slavery. We were sitting here, you know, toiling away, right? And somebody decided once they realized that they didn't need Britain anymore because they were sending more money over there than they were keeping, and that they could sustain themselves, the radical element made the Declaration of Independence. Everybody wasn't with it. Everybody wasn't with it because they were scared of Britain. Britain came over here to take their land back and kill the radical governors who helped them with the Declaration of Independence. But, you know, they end up being able to keep this part, which is the 13 colonies, and become their own country. They had the Continental Congress, and they were arguing about over things over a few a decade or two more after that. About 11 years after that, they came up with this Constitution because once they had got their independence, they were arguing over governing methods. So they came up with the Constitution of the United States of America, which is a corporation. And there you go. They came up with their people. They said it's not talking about Indians. It's not talking about slaves. It's talking about we the people. And that's how they treat us today. So fast forward, Black folks, we're here. We weren't really part of we the people, but we wanted to be part of we the people. We fought, we bled, we died. We tried to integrate. We tried to become mother again. We didn't want to be our own human being. We didn't want to be our own independent life. But that's not reality. We are an independent group, and we have to do something for ourselves. So now it's great that we have a teacher here. We got a teacher. So this is the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Let me see if I can share the screen. This is from let's see here. Well, actually, I'll just play. Well, actually, you know what? Let's do it like this. I want to play this. Let's do this. So, is it too late? The Black leaders discussion in 1972. Keep in mind, this is 1972. They were on a phone chat, and these are the leaders of that time. Some of them we recognize, but on the phone, Elijah Muhammad speaking to these folks, trying to help them make decisions for the situations of that day. Now, let's just keep in mind the do for self mentality. If we had decided to go ahead and do for self and begin that process of creating our own independent and valuing our independence, our ability to make decisions and support those decisions on our own. If we valued that, we would be better off today, in a stronger position today. It starts small. But let's listen to this here. Hold on a second here.
We're trying to dignify the country. We're not trying to make the country look ugly. We're trying to make the country to look beautiful because we are living in it and we want to live wherever we live to be beautiful. We're trying to do something for ourselves, and we are trying to teach our people to do something for self. We're not trying to be with the politician black people. We're not trying to out-preach you, brother. We just want to preach the truth. That's all we want to do. Again, we are trying to farm. You may not like farming, but from farming comes everything that we get. Therefore, we're trying to farm. I am begging you all over the country to come in to help. Do these things which I know that you will love me for teaching you to do these things. And pretty soon, we cannot depend on the wheat house of America. We cannot depend on the livestock of America. We got to depend on something for self. Let us go to the good old earth. If the white man will sell it or lease it to us, and there get out of that earth what he has gotten out of it. We no more must do these things about laying around begging the white man for this and that. And I said to the preachers, preach the gospel of doing for self, and don't preach the gospel of begging. This is a shame for us after 400 years and 100 years up from slavery to go and beg white people to give us anything. Go get it ourselves. It's out here. I have here on the south side of Chicago, with the help of my followers, have did things that you never dreamed of doing. We have a program of what we're going to do for the south side in Chicago to show to you in our paper now within a week or so. And you will be happy. We want you. Unemployment is bound to overtake you. I said to you, hunger is bound to overtake you. I said to you, revolution is bound to overtake you. All kinds of bad weather that you never dreamed of, bound to overtake you. We are in the throes of divine destruction of America. Don't.
So, did he lie? Where's the lie at? Where's the lie? That was 1972. They didn't listen. They were talking about, it's that's good, but maybe we should do something as of now that we can get done today. They were talking about the controversy between Ralph Abernathy and Jesse Jackson. They wanted to talk about some other crap. And that was fine at that time because you got to pay attention to the issues of that day. But at the same time, this man is telling you to put some money in the bank. That's what he's telling you. And we don't want to listen. So let's look at this here. What's going on, everybody? Press the thumbs up button, share it. We're talking about doing for self. This is what's going on. We got to do something for ourselves. It starts small, but it grows. Now, there are some people doing for self, but we need to participate more, and we got to get people to understand this is not, is it too late? This is not really an option for us anymore. It's not an option. I mean, let's look at this next point here. I wanted to go. Now, the thing is, here's a young brother, King Randall. Now, Roland Martin and King Randall had a little thing on Roland Martin's show. Let's look at this here. 1 second. Hold on a second here. Actually, you know what I would do? Actually, let's see who King Randall is. Let's do it this way. All right. Actually, you know what? I'll do it like this. So the Roland Martin is representing the people who's actually wanting to stay with government. Now, government is fine, the white government, but, you know, we got to understand, like, this white government, they're literally trying to figure out ways to kind of murderize us and kill us and get rid of the people. They're not really trying to save black folks. You know what I mean? If you think so, you know, you're gonna have a problem, because we see throughout time since the Civil War, they've been trying to figure out a way how to get rid of black people, how to minimize the power of black folks. I've done many videos on different parts of the history. We got, you know, right after the Civil War, you know, Lincoln and them, they did the right thing. The smart thing would have been to give this, because keep in mind, the Constitution did not consider Black America part of its governing purview of we the people. So the thing is, they gave us some land, but then they took it back. And that's the mistake. And that's the problem that we're having now. And this is the reason why you got folks running around unstable. We're in an unstable situation. So yet today we got this situation. Boyce Watkins is a businessman. Roland Martin is a political pundit. And this young brother here at the top is a young 20-year-old brother named King Randall. He's in Albany, Georgia. I actually wanted to play the part that Roland put up first. Let's see. Let me see here. Hold on 1 second, guys. Press thumbs up. Press thumbs up. Actually, let's look at this here. And we're going to talk about this here. Actually, you know what? I think this is it here.
You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk.
Hold on a second. I don't want to put too much out here, because I think he will try to block you if you put his little if you put his stuff on, he'll try to mess your channel up. So this is what I want to do. Here's the exchange. He's talking. He's going to be talking with this guy. And what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to play the sound of it. I just want to listen to it here.
Daily digital show out here that keeps it black.
Well, let me start off by saying you had me mistaken. I'm not a Republican. I do consider myself conservative.
No. Actually, I didn't say Republican. I said you're conservative.
Okay.
I said you're conservative.
Right, absolutely.
That's what I said.
Right. Yeah, I was saying that because you called me a Republican on Twitter. However, with this particular bill, I don't consider voting my particular fight. I do consider voting an asset to us and maybe something we can use as a tactic to help. But as far as us pushing voting all the way out, like voting is going to be some systemic change for the black community, to me is not the way to go. If you look at the human anatomy of the body has its many different parts. And I do respect you guys' fight, you know, in regards to voting, but I don't consider myself fighting for the right to vote that much.
Do you not vote?
We hadn't got anything.
Do you not vote?
Government. Yes, sir. I vote. Absolutely.
Okay. So when you say you guys' fight, first of all, there are multiple fights, the multiple issues we could be concerned about. Voting is one of those issues. Are you not concerned that Republicans in your state are trying to restrict access to the ballot for no reason other than they are pushing the lie that Donald Trump also pushed?
Right. Absolutely. I understand exactly what you're saying. However, again, that's not my fight. I believe.
No. I asked you a question. The question is this here. Do you believe Republicans in your state or wrong to be pushing this voter suppression bill?
Can you give me the list of things that's all on the bill? Because I know you said the voter ID.
Well, no. Here's a perfect example. This particular bill right here gets rid of no excuse absentee balloting. Republicans in Georgia passed no excuse absentee balloting 15 years ago, thinking it was going to help them. They're angry because you had people who voted for Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, and also John Ossoff and Raphael Warnock won. So they're changing the law because they're angry they lost at the ballot box. But for 14 years, it was fine until last year. Is that, again, do you consider that to be egregious on the part of Georgia Republicans? Why would they change the law because they lost? How about making a better argument for the voters?
I agree with you. I do. I agree with you. I'm not against you there. I definitely think that is an issue that I believe you guys could fight. But that, again, voting is not my issue to fight. I believe.
So what's your issue to fight?
My issue, I fight for young black men before they die. And that's what I do in my organization. I do teach them to vote, but I don't tell them that voting is going to be the be all end all.
No one says the be all the end all, but it's a part of it.
But you guys promote voting like it's just going to change like the systemic outlook of the black community. That's not where it's at. We have to get out and go do for self in our own communities.
So define do for self.
When I say do for self, you shared one of my tweets, my videos, and I was actually a big fan of yours, but you shared one of my tweets. When I said black people need to stop begging the government and go and do for self out in our communities, you shared the video and called me an idiot. I didn't see anything idiotic about that statement.
No. Okay, so right there, he said, the brother said the black people need to stop begging the government and go out there and do for self. Now, we heard earlier the Elijah Muhammad actually said that same thing. He literally said the same thing, 1972. In 1972, how many years ago was that? I mean, I would say what, 30, well, almost 50 years. Yeah, 49 years ago. Elijah Muhammad said, let's listen to it.
Wherever we live, we're trying to dignify the country. We're not trying to make the country look ugly. We're trying to make the country to look beautiful because we are living program of what we're going to do for the South Side in the livestock of America. We got to depend on something for self. Let us go to the good old earth.
See, he said, go to the earth.
The white man will sell it or rent it or lease it to us. And there get out of that earth what he has gotten out of it.
So this is the thing. Now you see today, you see a young man saying the same thing, same choice that black people had in 1972. We got to stop begging the government to do something for us and go do it ourselves. That's what's going on here, because the nature will give you the same option. If you keep failing, you keep making the wrong choice, you know, you'll be presented with the option again and again and again. And when you pick the wrong option, then you experience more pain until you pick the right option. Now, what does doing for self mean? Now, this man, Roland Martin, is trying to miscalculate or mischaracterize what do for self means. And all it means is going and doing something for yourself and getting benefits for yourself. The same way that the white man can get benefits for himself, the white man can build something on the land, can do something for himself to try to make himself a strong power in the earth, to try to build something for himself economically. You know, that's what do for self means. That's what it means. It's all of that bickering and arguing. It's an old man. And then you got this young brother talking about do for self. Do for self. Now, Roland Martin is a businessman. That's part of doing something for yourself. You're not begging for a job. You go out there, you create a job for yourself. You're not begging for jobs from someone else, from another group. Now, us doing for self as a group, it includes what? Working unity and group operations. That's what doing for self means. Now, with this young brother here, you know, of course, Roland got mad. Dr. Boyce is a businessman, so Dr. Boyce supported him. A lot of the community supported him. He was actually on training with Ben X, but this brother has a you know, this is the school that he bought. Him and his dudes. Actually, let me finish playing this point, but I want to do it this way so that way we won't get no rolling hits.
No. So when you say do for self, like what?
Mm-hmm.
Explain that.
Okay. For example, here in Albany, Georgia, we complain about our school systems a lot. Many of our young men can't read. They have very horrible literacy rates. We don't have any rehab programs here for juvenile offenders. What I decided to do, I started a program 2 years ago, decided to do for self. And I started taking children into my home. I started taking custody of kids from juvenile court, and I started molding them and training them and teaching them skill trades, etc. Now I'm 21 years old. I just purchased a school here in Albany, Georgia, to combat us being in the government-funded schools that are not teaching our children what they need to learn. So that's what I mean by do for self, simply getting up and going out and do it.
So
I beat the stereotype that I'm young, black in America, and I can't do anything because somebody's holding me down. Absolutely not.
So a question.
Teenagers went and go ahead. Me and some teenagers went and bought a school, and we just bought a school bus simply from going out and doing work. We decided to go fix our own communities. I'm not expecting anything from no politician. I'm not expecting nothing from Donald Trump, Joe Biden, or nobody. We're going to go do it for ourselves, and that's what I believe we need to be doing. I can vote, sure, but nothing's going to change in our community.
So you went to the juvenile court system. Mm-hmm. Is that not government?
Absolutely.
So when you say purchased a school, and this school is going to be what? Private school, charter school? What kind of school is it going to be?
No, it will be independently owned. This will not be funded by the government.
No, that's why I asked you. So it's going to be a private school?
Yeah, absolutely. It'll be a boarding school.
A boarding school. And then for the folks to be able to afford to send their kids to the boarding school, what kind of mechanisms are they using in Georgia? Their own funds? Are they using school vouchers? What are they using?
I can't hear you. Say that again for me.
I said, what mechanism are they using to send their kids there to pay for the school? Their own money, or are they utilizing vouchers from the Georgia government?
Absolutely. So for our school, we're financed completely by donors. We have many donors that have given yearly endowments to our school that will be able to pay for these students to come to our school for free. Many people believe in our mission, and we're making sure that young black men, where we live, where we don't have any rehab programs for juvenile offenders to even get out of jail and stay out of jail, we have people that believe in our mission that are trying to send children to the Extra Boys for free. We have many people that are trying to send kids to this boarding school to be able to take care of themselves. That's what I mean by doing for self. We got to simply get up and do it.
So you don't believe that government policymakers play any role whatsoever in being able to impact the lives of black boys and others in Georgia?
If we take them out of that government system, we don't have to worry about that. I keep saying,
how is that? So no, hold on. So here's the question. Hold on. Here's the question. Mm-hmm. How do you remove someone out of a government system when we all live in government systems?
Okay, being literal. Absolutely, we all live in a government system. Absolutely. However, you can do things to remove most government from your life.
How?
As far as trying to get yourself out of food stamps,
How?
trying to get yourself out of welfare. You got to go work. You got to get jobs. You got to get out here and go and do it.
So hold up. So I'm just curious.
I'm just saying. So see, we got to understand here. This is how dumb some of these old mindsets are. People are. This is so plain to see. It was seen, actually decades ago, but it's so plain to see. But these old folks want to continue to be attached to a system that is murdering folks left and right. It's not smart. It's not going to work. It's not going to keep working, but this is what we got to deal with. So what I want to do here is let's look at this one here. Okay, so this is the school that him and his guys purchased. And a lot of people saying like Tariq Nasheed, and which I was surprised that Tariq Nasheed had some negative stuff to say, but I understand because the brother is fairly young, and but he has been around for a little while doing things. But you know, he's made some dumb statements before. According to what Tariq said, you know, this brother had made some statements negative against Jacob Blake and against the brother who got killed by the police down there in Atlanta at the Wendy's parking lot. He made some negative statements. So Tariq Nasheed is suspicious of him, which is fine, which is good. Tariq said that I guess his father is, this young brother, he was in the Air Force. So, you know, he is coming from government military situation. Okay. So when he went into the Air Force, he was sent to the Air Force. Okay. But at the same time, see, this is my take on that. We have to understand that even the coons, even people who are considered who may be government agents and all this type of stuff, they can't stop us from trying to do something for ourselves and our group of people. It doesn't matter. You know, we got to understand, like, we're going to have smaller arguments. And just because we have some arguments with each other or disagreements or different issues that we have with each other, it doesn't mean that, you know, everybody is a coon or a sellout just because we have a problem or they did something. Like even Roland, I know there's a lot of people that disagree with Roland, but Roland, we're all part of this system. So, you know, the trials and tribulations that we use to try to get ourselves out of this, we have to figure it out and go through them. Okay. So, but the point is, you know, the boy is doing something really good. You know, he's doing something good. He purchased this school. This is the land that they purchased it on. And and literally the thing is, you can show the years because, you know, that's the benefit of having social media, you know, out here on this Instagram. I mean, you dealing with years of documentation of this person's life. He's been doing this. This is a long time ago. You know, so this is the one thing. This is what, 2 years ago, more than 2 years ago. He was 19 years old. You know, so, you know, he's just been trying to level up himself. He's making T-shirts to try to do something for himself. You see, this is the kind of mindset we need. These are the people, this independent mindset. This is what we do to develop ourselves. And he has a connection with his history. See, these things are important to build culture. This gives you firm roots in what you're saying. When you make an operation, if you don't have firm roots in your culture and your own history, people can confuse you. Obviously, the man is not confused. He's got a mission. He's out here. He's trying to make things happen. You can fast forward. You know, he's out here doing his thing, and I'm not going to go through all this stuff, but these are his boys. These are the schools. I mean, he's showing you like the schools and the different things that he's doing.
Hard to be a truthful representation of yourself. You understand? Yes, sir. But you want to try your hardest in this.
This was 2019.
So it's easier to get girls when you're yourself, right? Yes, sir. So you don't have to be fake. You understand? Yes, sir. Because if you're being fake,
that's not. You can't government.
That real you comes out. You understand?
Yes, sir.
So it's much easier to get a better girl when you're being yourself, right? Yes, sir. So always be a true representation of yourself. You understand? Right? Yes, sir.
See, what I want y'all to see is how the kids are responding to him. You can't government mandate that. The man has respect in his community among the people because he's doing the work. And that you can't FBI that. And that's the thing that I'm gonna say to people that's like Tariq Nasheed, who has legitimate concerns in doing some investigation. This boy believes what he's doing, and he's doing net benefit. Of course, he's gonna make some mistakes. He's probably gonna say some coon type stuff. But to me, how you create what we call a coon, or is basically a traitor to the group. A person who will traitor on their own group is usually somebody who's been rejected by that group. A lot of times, if you get rejected by the group and you think you're doing something good, but you get rejected, then a lot of times it can build up that animosity, and then you become an enemy to your own group. And that hasn't happened to this dude this age yet. He's, enough work has been done before him for enough of us to understand that somebody like this should be supported. Now, to a guy like this is probably why Roland Martin has attacked him. He admires a chick, this nut.
And then this is the problem, is that we don't want to acknowledge the fact, and this is the reason why Black America is never, in my opinion, going to get better until we're able to have honest discussions. Every culture is different, right? There are many different cultures.
So not much to disagree with. And before you start saying coon, Dr. Umar Johnson has made the same points. And so he admires Candace Owens. So this is the reason why probably Roland and Tariq Nasheed have a problem with him. But the problem that I'm going to say is, if you understand that we are a group of folks and we are going to have these type of differences, and legitimate differences are natural and it's good for us to have these type of differences, doesn't mean
what's going on,
that you shouldn't support somebody because somebody's doing something actually good. So that's what I'm looking at here. So, but it is a concern because Candace is a known plant for Republicans. She's a shill. But my point is, it doesn't take away from the actual actions that's being done. The dude is making some things happen, and that's what's happening. So anyway, that to me is the gospel of do for self. Now, the gospel of dependency. Let me see. There's another point here I want to make. Let me see if I can get this other point. And make sure y'all press the thumbs up, share the message, make a comment if you have an idea. Now, this is what I do like. This brother,
everybody, what's going on? Hello. Good afternoon.
What I like is this. When he did go out there and he got on Roland berated him. There's a community of people who were out here to assist him, to help him develop his ideas and to accept him. This allows us to influence him. You see, you're allowed to influence your talent and to motivate and develop your talent. And that's where we're going. And that's why I think that, what Dr. Boyce did was good. And I'm not going to go through his whole thing. But, let's pay attention to this. This brother here is X for Boys. We getting arrested. The Georgia lawmaker arrested. We can't integrate into no society like this. Georgia lawmaker arrested as governor signs law overhauling elections. So Brian Kemp signed a law to change the elections. State Representative Park Cannon, a Black woman, continued knocking on Kemp's office door after Georgia State Patrol troopers instructed her to stop. She said later she was arrested for fighting for voter suppression. A law signed by Kemp on Thursday includes new limitations on mail-in voting, expands most voters' access to in-person early voting. Basically, this is how they plan on ruling you after they become a minority. And these are the type of things that's good to understand and to recognize, but it's not that big of a deal. Because really, if you get into the do for self mindset, you're not going to be worried too much about this stuff. Now, keep in mind, this brother, like I said, this brother has been making roots. This is another idea too. Elijah Muhammad told people, you make a seed makes a root before it sends up a shoot. A seed makes a root before it sends up a shoot. And that's the reason why when he shows himself and makes himself noticed, there's a lot.
That's what I believe is going to change our city. I mean,
there's a lot of support for him already because he already been working to develop your idea. So he goes in with Brother Ben. Brother Ben really raises money for him right here on the spot.
That doing for self don't work. I'm showing you this. I do this. I be about that. I don't even post everything we do. I don't post all the conversations we have every day. I don't post, all the stuff we're doing all the time. I just post like the main things we do. But these kids live with me every day. I could say something every day if I wanted to, but I don't. But digital real estate has been a big help, for us. And I want to make sure that other people know that as well. That's another reason I wanted to get on, because I'm just like, nah, let me push this, because folks really need to be able to push what they're doing, because I ain't the only person that's out here, doing something for the Black community. It's a lot of us, out here doing stuff for the Black community. I want to make sure all these voices are amplified, but you got to know how to do it. You got to know how to push it. You got to know the right people to talk to. And honestly, life really is about who you know, not what you know. Because if you know the right people who know somebody, you can make it happen.
Absolutely. Now we all have seen the interview, the controversial.
Oh God.
What did you mean? And this is the only part I'm going to. But what did you mean? Explain what you meant by the do for self piece. That's a piece that y'all was kind of going back and forth on, the government, not depending on the government. From your perspective, what does do for self mean for you and the boys?
Absolutely. Well, first of all, let me start. We're talking about Brother Roland Martin. I don't have any ill feelings towards him. But originally I actually accepted the interview. Mr. Roland was kind of bothering me on Twitter, and it's kind of like attacking me and stuff like that. And I didn't understand why from the get-go. And I was just like, why are you bothering me on Twitter about voter suppression? I'm like, I don't even talk about politics. I'm like, why are you bothering me about voter suppression? He was calling me a Republican and stuff like that. And I'm just like, I'm not a Republican. And he saw the word conservative. I'm just like, conservative don't mean Republican, dude. I'm just like, that's an entirely different, thing. That's just an ideology or whatever. But he was, bothering me and my friend on Twitter. So he was like, well, y'all come on the show or whatever like that. So I was like, okay, I'll come on the show. My friend couldn't come because of his job. So I got on the show, and he was instantly aggressive with me on the show, and I kept it respectful. And I originally wasn't going to go because I did have some advisors just like, he's just going to try to attack you. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna use this platform to tell people about what I'm doing. And it just is what it is. He's going to bring me some fans, and I'm probably going to make him like a butthole because he doesn't know how to keep his composure and not call names, etc. But people are just like, oh, you should have ripped him a new one, etc. I'm just like, no, I'm going to get on there and I'm going to be respectful. I'm going to hold my own. And that's what brought me, so much attention, because people were like, you conducted yourself so well. I would have did this. I would have did that. I'm just like, no, I kept it respectful and told him what I was about. He was like, well, what is your fight? What do you mean by do for self? And he hadn't vetted me before he brought me on the show. He didn't even know who I was. And I'm just like, dude, like, I've been doing this. You can't tell me that doing for self don't work. I'm showing you this. I do this. I be about that life, So I'm just like, I'm going to tell you what I'm doing. This is what we're doing, Mr. Roland. And he just kept trying to find any reason to argue. Never said good job. Never said, good work or anything. He just constantly trying to argue with me. So when I said do for self, he was just like, well, you're going to need the government for something. You act as if, the boys are never going to interact with the government. I never said that. I never said, you're going to delete yourself from government. I never said that, but he kept trying to make it literal and just wanted something, to argue about. But I kept it respectful, and I kept doubling back to my point. Well, we are doing for self. I do believe, that voting is important. Sure. But I'm just like, that's not my fight. I believe there are people in our communities that are fighting that fight for voting. I'm just like, I will help them and, push them in their fight. But just like I don't really do much voting stuff, if somebody come ask me about voting, I go send them to the activists on that side, who do the voting stuff. Just like the activists where I live that don't work with kids. If people say they need help with their kids, they send them to me. I'm just like, we got different parts of the body. So why not all of us play our different parts? Stop trying to make me be the brain, the lungs, and all that stuff. You play your part, I'll play mine. But he kept trying to argue with me and stuff. I'm just like, sir, I'm not trying to argue. I even invited him to come talk to the kids, but I kind of rescinded that invite because he started, like saying little slick stuff after the panel was over and, saying little slick stuff on Twitter. So I just stopped giving them attention. I unfollowed him. I ain't said nothing to him since. I'm just like, you know what? You want to keep up with that?
See? So anyway, I'm about to end this off, but the point is here is, oops, excuse me. Yeah, the point is, it's a new generation come in. People gotta make a decision. It's not about sitting up here playing with white folks, trying a distinct group of people. To me, this is a school. I had somebody on Facebook tell me that the man didn't buy a school. Okay, well, he bought a building that was a school. I mean, the bottom line is he's going to be teaching children. He's been teaching children. He's doing something that's going to develop the community. And it's a good thing. Support it. Get out there, learn about it. It's actually better for us to start buying land. I bought some land on Billy Land's land flip. I'm going to do this here. Let me show y'all this before we go. I want y'all to go on this here too. Here's a good place to buy some land. You can rent it out. This is these lands here that you get on this site. You can go look at it, but it's an auction. Once you win the down payment of the auction, then it's seller financed. It's seller financed, so that you don't have to go worry about getting no loans. You're gonna get your deed thing, and not the deed, but you get the right to the deed, and you just make your payments. You got access to the land. This is access. I mean, they got properties all over the place, and they get them every few months or whatever. Here's some in Texas. I mean, some of these ain't right. I ain't with it. But, see, I wouldn't buy nothing like that. Nah. But you get to see it. And we got to start getting land. Here's another one. Land flip. There it is. We got to start getting us some land because this whole situation is about to break off, and we're going to have to start learning how to develop, go to the land the same way. White folks got them some land and did something the same way we can do it. So that's it. I think I'm going to head off. Everybody, let me know what you thought, and peace.